realities. Over to you, Ashok ji.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. The seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand, without expectation of reward, when compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of the senses to abstain from indulgence in the low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Tar Meher Baba ki Jai. Thank you. So we start with discourses, or rather continue with discourses. Let me. So last time when we read this, we had put these three chapters: uh, place of occultism in spiritual life, the three parts. It was under avatars and perfect masters. I I and Kama had a chat about this, and I both of us agreed that it belongs here. So if you look at the themes, it belongs in the spirit and matter theme, right? So though we have finished spirit and matter, we moved this from that list, and we'll take it up now and finish that, and then go to avatars and perfect master, right? So we are now reading the last three in spirit and matter, and that is place of occultism in spiritual life, 1, 2, and 3. Don't you think that's a better classification? Because you need to understand, after understanding the role of spirituality, because that's where we start, you should understand also the place of occultism before continuing with consciousness, sanskaras, and God, and so on. What do you think?
It's fine,
I think.
Karthik, because ultimately it all adds up together. It's like
Yeah,
joining
yeah. For
joining the dots.
yeah, I'm looking at it from a purely academic standpoint, but for us, I know we are going over it again, and for us, it's more absorption and getting new things out of it that we didn't get earlier. But I'm saying from a sequence and learning perspective, I felt this was better.
And
Yeah.
also to add to what you all have contemplated upon is that the same chapter or the same theme can have various correlations.
Like,
I mean, what you did just now, occultism under spirit and matter, and earlier it was under another theme. So, what I'm trying to say is that, say, a chapter like occultism or the chapter like sanskaras has got various correlations in other themes as well.
no, no, of course. So there can be overlap in the themes, but there is a dominant theme, right? So the way we
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
yeah, the dominant theme is what we are after. And I felt that the dominant theme for this was this. I mean,
Perfect.
this was spirit and matter. Yeah. So if you take anyway, we'll look at the paras, sub paras, or rather the para headings, and then get into the reading itself. Psychic capabilities help or hinders emancipation. Contempt for occult born of ignorance. Some dreams spiritually significant. Rare types of dreams. Beginnings of occult experiences. Balanced attitude difficult to maintain. Craving for occult experiences. Dealing with craving for occult experiences. Validity of occult experiences. Occult distinguished from hallucination and delusion. Aspirant must develop self-confidence. Effect of doubt on occult experiences. Astral journeys. Expanded scopes for advancement. And occult experience is no substitute for inner effort. So if you notice, there is also a small heading under the subheading. So if you go, I mean, under the part name. So the first part refers to the value of occult experiences. So that's where we are. So any volunteer to read for the first part, or I can read. Psychic capacities help or hinder emancipation. The spiritual path leading to the emancipation of consciousness brings with it an unfoldment of many psychic capacities which are latent in the human soul. This unfoldment increases the scope and range of human consciousness. These new elements often play an important part in helping or hindering the spiritual emancipation of consciousness. Therefore, the aspirant not only has to understand the value of such experiences as unusual and significant dreams, visions, astral journeys, and glimpses of the subtle world, but he also has to learn to distinguish real occult experiences from hallucinations and delusions. I think that's the biggest thing in this chapter, right? The ability to distinct. See, our mind is it's a very complicated uh, construct, right? It has infinite capacity, right? In imagination, and it has a superb way of leading you astray or leading you to the goal. So, for me, the biggest challenge aspirant faces in the absence of a physical masters whose contact and whose whose continuous guidance is available in a direct manner is the fact that you can get experiences, you can get a lot of so-called even intuition, right? And you might end up thinking you may ignore it, or you may take hallucinations created by the brain or the mind to be intuition and spiritual experiences, which is wrong. So both ways are wrong. The false path, I mean the wrong assumption, and the ignoring of real spiritual experiences. So I think for me personally, that I think is something I hope we get the grace to distinguish so that we make progress, right? So There is a footnote. From where is that footnote? Again, it's coming further. Or did we miss an asterisk anywhere? Oh, okay. So right at the title, there is an asterisk. The asterisk says, in the following three parts, occult and occultism are generally used in the broadest sense to mean hidden or beyond the range of ordinary experience, but in certain contexts, they mean more specifically psychic or supernatural. Okay, let's go
Arthur,
to
if
the
I may
second.
ask, on which page is this?
179, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, 179, yeah. Okay, contempt for occult, born of ignorance. Although it is customary to exaggerate the importance of occult experience, it is not uncommon to doubt their validity and to treat them with the contempt usually accorded to all forms of mental aberrations and abnormalities. The attitude of unqualified contempt for occult experiences is, of course, most pronounced in those who are not even absedarians in direct knowledge of the occult. It hurts the ego to admit and feel that there might be vast unexplored fields of the universe that are accessible just to a limited number of persons, and from which one happens to be excluded. The undeserved contempt that occultism at times receives is almost always the outcome of profound ignorance about its real meaning. This attitude of contempt is, of course, different from a cautious and critical attitude. Those who have a cautious and critical approach and who are endowed with humility and openness of mind are ever ready to recognize and admit occult phenomena when they occur. So let's go look this word up. I'm really curious. Absedarians. Alphabetical. Okay. Or of related to the alphabet, alphabetically arranged. Now let's read that line again. The attitude of unqualified contempt for occult experiences is, of course, most pronounced in those who are not even absedarians in direct knowledge of the occult. What's he trying to say here? I think
Yeah, basically इनको ABCD भी नहीं मालूम है.
something like that.
That's what it is saying. Not even, yeah, they are not even in the on the initial track. So who know, they do not even know ABC. They are,
Exactly.
yeah,
Don't
that's what
know
it means.
basics.
Yeah, basics. Yeah,
Yeah.
but beautiful word actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Abecedarians.
yeah, yeah.
I wonder how it's pronounced. Is there a, yeah, there it is. ABC Darian. So it's exactly like that. So
Yeah,
ABC
yeah, yeah,
Darian. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. ABCDarians.
ABCDarians. Okay. But you know the famous acronym ABCD, right? Anyone? Acronym is also there for ABCD more in a lighter tone
Okay.
for Indians. Have you heard of it?
No, tell me.
American born confused
Ah,
desis.
confused Desi. Yeah. Okay. I thought Kama also will have some. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, this is more public than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Some dreams are spiritually significant. So, okay, the summary of this paragraph is we can't directly have contempt for occult. Now, again, occult to many unintroduced people is also negative, right? Occult means something scary, something like black magic, something like that. So that's why this footnote makes a lot of importance. The footnote is saying that anything that is hidden or beyond the range of ordinary experience is treated as occultism in these three parts, right? So we have to understand that part. So it's not anything exotic and esoteric like black magic or something like that. But anything that's a spiritual experience, anything that's an experience that's not limited to the ordinary course of mental experiences. And here he's saying that don't have direct contempt without even knowing what it is. And that's the summary of para 2. Let's go to some dreams spiritually significant. An aspirant is usually helped by a perfect master through ordinary means, and the master prefers to take him veiled along the spiritual path. But when there are specific indications, he may also use occult techniques to help the aspirant. Special types of dreams are among the common methods used for touching the deeper life of the aspirant. Masters have not infrequently first contacted aspirants by appearing in their dreams. Such dreams, however, have to be carefully distinguished from ordinary dreams. In ordinary dreams, the subtle body is active in exercising its functions of seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and hearing, but the soul is not using the subtle body with full consciousness. As these experiences in ordinary dreams are received subconsciously, they are in most cases purely subjective, relating to physical activities and concerning the gross world, and are the creations of nascent sanskaras stored in the mind. In some cases, however, a dream that is indistinguishable from ordinary dreams may be the reflection in the subconscious of some objective experience of the subtle body and not merely a product of fancy. I'll read the last line again. So the difference is brought out in the last line. In some cases, however, a dream that is indistinguishable from ordinary dreams may be the reflection in the subconscious of some objective experience of the subtle body and not merely a product of fancy. I dare say what he's saying here is it is distinguishable, whereas he's using the word indistinguishable. A dream that is indistinguishable from ordinary dreams may be the reflection in the subconscious of some objective experience of the subtle body and not merely a product of fancy. Now, what he's saying is what we get. I mean, again, anybody please jump in and add to this. Generally, our dreams are subtle. It's our subtle consciousness, and it's in the subtle realm. So you take your sanskaras and imagine something and experience all the aspects in the subtle world. So you'll be able to see, taste, smell, touch, and hear, but using the subtle body. And only difference is the soul is not using the subtle body with full consciousness, that we know. So so that's what happens in a dream. But some dreams that may be a reflection of some objective experience of the subtle body and not merely a product of fancy. So it's not it's more deeper than just a simple dream, is what he's saying for some dreams spiritually significant, right? Let's continue. Rare types of dreams. Most dreams are purely subjective and subconscious experiences of the subtle body. They have no special spiritual significance, except that they can be occasions for forging new sanskaras or spending up old ones, and that occasionally they shed light upon the hidden complexes and unfaced problems of one's personality. Such dreams can never include something that is not in some way a part of the past experience of the person. They allow scope for novelty only in respect to new combinations of items that have already appeared in past experience. The rare types of dreams are those about persons and things unknown in this life, but known in some past life or lives. Still more rare are the dreams of persons and things that have never appeared in this life or former lives, but are going to appear in the future. Ordinary dreams are thus utterly different from dreams that have occult significance. Any thoughts? Any comments?
I think all this is good, but how do we differentiate personally or at the personal individual level? It's very difficult, I think, at least for me.
Me too. So I already outlined that. Second, I have a bigger problem. I have a more common problem. I'm sure it's for you guys as well. It's very rare that we even remember the dreams, right?
Exactly.
So, if you remember 10 dreams in a year, I don't know which of those 10 are even spiritually significant, but I am watching out, you know, and I'm hoping there is a special dream. And I've been rather unlucky. I have not got Baba in my dream. I have not had any spiritually significant dreams that I can remember and connect to something yet, right? So, having said that, a lot of people start their journeys or have continued dreams which are spiritually significant. One of the common themes that I've heard is how they see Baba's face in a dream long before they actually come into contact with Baba. And I've seen this at least with two, three people, personal meetings, and then, of course, multiple experiences that you see online where they have seen Baba's form in a dream long, long before they actually come into contact with his details or come into contact with people who talk about Meher Baba and so on, right? And then they say, "Hey, this is the face I've already seen." So that obviously that is a classic example of that kind of a dream, but I have not had that. Anybody?
Karthik, I want to add that Kumud has seen Baba in her dreams, and my request would be that on the channel, people can write about their experiences.
Sure. So uh, was that experience of Kumudji after she knew of Baba or before she knew of Baba?
First, say it was after. It was not before,
Okay,
but
sure. So after the problem that I have in my head, my logical brain, is it could be even a ordinary experience because you have so much of love and so much of um, immediate association with Baba that you go to bed thinking of Baba, and then you get a dream with Baba in it, right?
what
So
you
whether it's a spiritual experience or not, with full respect to Kumaji, I don't know.
agreed. It could be the manifestation of your thoughts in a dream. It's possible.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes,
But
but again, I think each one to himself, and that's what is also being brought out here. It's not very easy, right?
correct, correct.
Let's continue. Beginnings of occult experience. Very often, when the aspirant is undergoing psychic unfoldment, he has occasional mystic experiences of the subtle world in the form of significant visions, lights, colors, sounds, smells, or contacts. At first, these experiences are fitful, and the aspirant is likely to treat them as hallucinations. But even when he treats them as hallucinations, he finds it impossible to resist their directive influence because of their intrinsic potency. The spiritual journey, however, becomes more smooth if the aspirant learns to cultivate the right attitude toward occult experiences, which consists in taking them for what they are worth. This balanced attitude is just what the aspirant in the initial stages finds difficult to maintain. So, first, you treat it with suspicion. Second, you recognize it. And third, you learn to have the right attitude and take the right message from them. That's the way he's proposing here, right? So, what is this balanced attitude? Balanced attitude difficult to maintain. The beginner is apt to exaggerate the importance of his glimpses into the inner worlds and to develop an ungovernable craving for repetition of these experiences. Or he tries to treat them as abnormal phenomena and underrates their significance. Of these two alternatives, the attitude of exaggerating the importance of occult experiences is the most common because the novelty and rarity of occult experiences are factors that contribute to charging them with overwhelming importance. And that's where the mind plays a big game, right? So the mind uh, ups it, right? Hypes it up and says, "Oh, you had this experience. Oh, that was a smell that was spiritual, or you had that vision of a light. It might be a hallucination, or it might be the first time you had a really spiritually significant experience, but the mind will have a tendency to hype it up."
Yeah, and mind also, it also uses it to bolster the ego actually.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, so people start, oh, I had this, I had that, I had that experience, and Baba came into my this thing and all that. So the best thing is to hide it to yourself.
Yes.
I mean,
Perfect.
it's something जिसने पाया उसने छिपाया, So it's
That's a
it's
good
it's
point.
it's for
That's a very good
it's
point.
for it's for you, and you can share. I'm not saying it's never, but it's one has to be careful that it doesn't, as I said earlier, inflate your ego. Yeah, Jai Baba.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sharing is all about ego, right? So one of the big debates we are having is, and it's also related to our app experience and work that we're doing with Baba Who. So when you share, so what is social media? Social media for me, after processing it objectively, is nothing but ego. And I'll tell you my logic. Social media is you are seeking a validation
Yeah,
for something by sharing, right? It's all about
yeah,
validation. You want patch, right? If you go back to transaction analysis, you want to tell the world I'm okay, and somebody needs to tell you back you're okay, right?
yeah. It's
Or I like
ultimately,
it.
yeah, yeah. Ultimately, your intent actually. You may share your experience, but only if you find there's something who is genuinely seeking to know about Baba.
Mm,
Not as a general that you throw that information anywhere and any place.
correct.
It's like that.
Very true.
Your intent would matter. Yeah, yeah, Baba.
And
For
if you notice,
helping somebody to give your this thing for his advancement, that should be fine. Yeah, yeah, Baba.
perfect, perfect. So in fact, I have seen a few rare souls who are like that, right? So they're so difficult to get anything out of them, and but they have a wealth of information, wealth of spiritual experiences, and probably that humility is not misplaced. That humility comes from a deeper place. That humility comes from, like you said, not trying to cheapen the experience by throwing it around, but reserving it for those that truly deserve it, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think very good point you raised,
Yeah.
Sanjeev. Yeah. So craving for occult experiences. So once you balanced attitude, then you also start craving. In fact, the ego of the aspirant tends to become attached to this new field revealed to him, just what we were discussing, which gives him the sense of being a rare person admitted to an exclusive privilege. The more experiences a person has, the greater scope he desires. He also develops the habit of depending upon occult goading for each step on the path, just as those who take drugs get addicted to them and require stimulation even for doing things that they could formerly do without such stimulation. In order to avoid this pitfall for the aspirant, the master takes good care not to cater to his new craving for occult experiences. Such experiences are vouchsafed to the aspirant if and when they are absolutely necessary for spiritual purposes and not when he wants or asks for them. Okay. Dealing with craving for occult experiences. If the aspirant is found to attach undue importance to occult experiences or to develop an ungovernable craving for them, the master might deal with this obstacle in his own way by actually weakening or annulling the occult experiences that have become the basis for such craving. This is like giving immediate relief to a patient by surgical removal of the cause of a physical disorder. It serves the purpose of protecting the aspirant from forging fresh chains for self limitation. The aspirant must not be allowed, under any circumstances, to get caught up in false values and futile searching. These can only lead to sidetracking and cause unnecessary delay in achieving the real goal, which is to get initiated into the truly spiritual life. The introduction of the aspirant to occult phenomena is necessarily a very gradual and prolonged process. The master is never anxious to expedite it, as few persons are really qualified to stand the expansion of their experience in this new dimension. So the master, the puppeteer, the one with all the grace actually determines the right time, the right frequency, the right intensity of these experiences. And once he gets you onto the spiritual path, he actually tries to minimize those, right? Or tries to give you only enough to keep you going, but not to feed your ego, right? And so on and so forth, right? So that's interesting. Validity of occult experience. In the initial stages, the appearance of occult phenomena is very fitful, and the aspirant sometimes doubts their validity, treating them with caution in order to rule out the possibility of his being deluded. But occult experiences often bear unmistakable credentials of their own validity. Even when any such credentials are not evident, they compel due respect and attention because of the unusual significance, bliss, peace, and directive value with which they are surcharged. Mainly because of these characteristics, the aspirant is able to distinguish real occult experiences from hallucinations and delusions. So the key takeaway here is occult experiences often bear unmistakable credentials of their validity. So, and those could be what? What could be those characteristics that identify them? So that's what is brought out in the next one, next para, which says occult distinguished from hallucination and delusion. Hallucinations are erroneous perceptions and consist in actually seeing or hearing things that do not really exist. Though they are clearly different in this respect from merely imagining things, they remain objects of doubt in spite of their similarity to normal perceptions. Delusions are even more deceptive because they consist not only in actually seeing things that really do not exist, but also in having complete conviction of their existence. However, hallucinations and delusions do not bring extraordinary bliss or peace to the person who experiences them. The bliss and peace that are attendant upon real occult experiences are fairly reliable criteria by which to distinguish them as genuine. Hallucinations and delusions are like the nightmares of wakeful consciousness. So, if it's
Karthik, as a definition for occult experiences, maybe the previous paragraph, two sentences are very good. One you have read, the second one you didn't read. Just about, just about.
okay, I missed reading. Oh, okay. So I
No, no, no.
reread it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, these two sentences, I agree. But
Uh,
occult experiences often bear unmistakable credentials of their own validity. Second line, even when any such credentials are not evident, they compel due respect and attention because of the unusual significance, bliss, peace, and directive value with which they are surcharged. Actually,
yes.
we can mark out peace. I
Yes.
agree. Okay. Aspirant must develop self-confidence. Even when real occult experience can be clearly differentiated from illusion, it suffers in its power and efficacy if it becomes the object of doubt. This can happen when the person who has had the experience discusses the matter with others who, because of their incapacity to understand such things, throw out contrary thoughts and shake his conviction. For this reason, the master usually requires the disciple to maintain strict secrecy about his experiences. Even a deep experience is likely to become weak through the contradiction and skepticism of others, unless the aspirant has learned to follow his own inner experience, irrespective of what others might think or say. If the aspirant is to make quick progress and to profit most from the master's help, he must develop immense and unshakable confidence in himself and the master. He must not look to others for guidance because those who will understand his problems or his experiences are very few. The aspirant must indeed be prepared to face the possibility of not being completely understood by any of his friends or relatives, for they may be in the dark about the grounds for his ideology and course of action. How true. Okay, so the master and the disciples' ability to stay the course and stay confident about it is what is being talked about here. Effect of doubt on occult experience. If at the time of its occurrence, an occult experience has served the purpose of giving new momentum to spiritual endeavor, it often does not matter if the aspirant considers it in retrospective analysis and thought as being a form of delusion. However, there are some occult experiences that are deliberately vouchsafed to the aspirant in order that they should be standing sources of inspiration and guidance. With regard to these special experiences, it becomes necessary that the aspirant cease doubting their validity and importance. Okay. The what is it's a continuation of the doubt. The general attitude of seeking endless corroborations of occult experiences is definitely unhealthy, and the master gives corroborative confirmation only when he considers it necessary. Further, he takes the initiative in the way he judges best in the situation. Whatever he does arises from his unfettered discretion and is in no way related to or dependent upon any expectation developed by the aspirant. But when it is spiritually necessary, the master does increase the efficacy of occult experience by confirming its validity and authority through some direct or indirect corroboration from the aspirant's normal range of experience. So you will get a corroboration either directly or indirectly. Indirectly is obviously risky and confusing, but a direct corroboration is excellent.
Yeah, it also says that one should not be pestering the master to give experiences, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you should not, you know, pray Baba that give me these experiences. They let them come naturally because we don't have a physical master, so we pray Baba for that, you know.
Correct.
So don't ask for experiences from Baba. If they come naturally, let them be, you know.
Perfect.
That's what also was meant in the paragraph.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Agreed. Astral journeys. In the advancing stages leading to the beginning of the path, the aspirant becomes spiritually prepared for being entrusted with free use of the forces of the inner world of the astral bodies. There is an asterisk. Astral body. Okay, see glossary. We'll go and see it in a bit. Uh, he may then undertake astral journeys in his astral body, leaving the physical body in sleep or wakefulness. The astral journeys that are taken unconsciously are much less important than those undertaken with full consciousness and as a result of deliberate volition. This implies conscious use of the astral body. Conscious separation of the astral body from the outer vehicle of the gross body has its own value in making the soul feel its distinction from the gross body and in arriving at fuller control of the gross body. One can, at will, put on and take off the external gross body as if it were a cloak and use the astral body for experiencing the inner world of the astral and for undertaking journeys through it if and when necessary. I think the chapter ends here, after which we'll go and check the glossary. Expanded scope for advancement. The sights, smells, tastes, contacts, and sounds that are experienced through conscious use of the astral body are clear and definite, like the experiences gained through conscious use of the gross body. They are not vague or subjective as in ordinary dreams, but are as objective and effective as other experiences of wakeful consciousness. The ability to undertake astral journeys, therefore, involves considerable expansion of one's scope for experience. It brings opportunities for promoting one's own spiritual advancement, which begins with the involution of consciousness. Occult experience, no substitute for inner effort. The harnessing of occult forces is not to be regarded in any way as a substitute for the inner effort the aspirant must make to advance further. When occult experiences are gifts from a perfect master, they serve the purpose of unveiling much of the hitherto obscured intuition, removing some of the difficulties leading toward the spiritual path and full and filling the aspirant with the great confidence and enthusiasm that are necessary to cope with the new requirements at each stage. But the aspirant makes real progress by putting into practice the best intuitions of his heart, not by not by being the merely passive recipient of occult experiences. So that's where that part ends. Let's go to the glossary. the form that experiences the astral world, which serves as a link between the gross and subtle worlds. So it's between the gross and the subtle worlds. See also semi-subtle world. For further information, see God Speaks. So let's go see semi-subtle world. I was just thinking God Speaks has a bigger supplement on this. Semi-subtle world, a stage between the gross and subtle spheres in which the disembodied soul experiences the heaven and hell states through the astral body. So here he's saying the astral body is the way to experience the heaven and hell states between births, right? So let's see if God Speaks has something more. Yeah, there is a supplement 37. Second. There is no astral world as such. The astral world is not a portion of the subtle world. However, in between the gross and the subtle worlds, there are 7 sheets which form the so-called world of the astral, and this serves as a link between these two worlds. A gross conscious soul may be said to have an astral body which links the gross with the subtle. The astral may be called the imprint of the subtle over the gross, which imprint is neither gross nor subtle. In sleep, in the ordinary dream state, one experiences the impressions of the gross world with the subtle body, but subconsciously, and not with the astral body. All experiences in the world of the astral, experienced through the medium of the astral body, are as insignificant as dreams. After disembodiment, the soul experiences the world of the astral in the astral body. This may be said to the this may be said to be the astral journey of the soul. When the soul gets embodied, the astral body is shed, and with the new gross body, it gets a fresh astral body. But as long as it does not get embodied, its subtle and mental bodies undergo the experiences of the state of heaven or hell through the medium of the astral body in accordance with the impressions that were accumulated while it was in an embodied state. The spiritual path begins only with the involution of consciousness, when the soul begins to experience the first plane of the subtle world, and not when it just has access to the astral phenomenon from the gross world. At the stage when the soul experiences fully the first plane of the subtle world, the astral sheath that linked the subtle with the gross is snapped for good. Okay, so the last line is interesting. So at the stage when the soul experiences fully the first plane of the subtle world through involution, the astral sheath that linked the subtle with the gross is snapped for good. So that's the outward reference with which we conclude the first part of occultism, right? So yeah, so any comments, any thoughts, any reactions before we get to the next one?
Yeah. For us, takeaway is, uh, I don't know how to say. Basically, it is more of information and what care we must take if we have these kinds of experiences,
True.
and what not to do seeking these experiences. For us, it is just that.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Jai
Not
Baba.
to ignore, not to give it too much importance, and use it
Yes.
to journey in the smart way. Yes,
Yeah.
Mohammed.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is to distinguish an experience with the definition that it should be blissful, knowledgeable, and leads you to a better understanding, not any disturbance in mood or any fear attached to it or things like that. So hallucination and occult experience we should be able to distinguish correctly. That's a point we have to understand from this chapter, I think. Jai Baba.
True.
Because I think this chapter is also written for the posterity, because giving these experiences is many of these so-called uh, the doctor masters, so many of them who are proliferated, they give you all these kinds of false experiences. You feel hallucinated. You see also, in Christian indoctrination, when they are converting people, they are giving hallucinations and people are moving their bodies all around. Even in Hindus, even a Baba lover, who is kind of trying to control your mind, that person in,
Yeah,
uh,
I know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what we're talking, yeah. So, I mean, if we have it, we should just keep it to ourselves and not give too much contents to them. Yeah, and let them come to us naturally. And if Baba wants us to give those experiences, he will give out of our own devotion and love for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Baba.
Baba. So I was not looking at the clock. It's almost 6:50, and usually by 6:50 it's sunrise here. It's raining in the desert, so it's still cloudy and dark. I just came out to the window to see rain on the roads. So a rare phenomenon
Wow,
in the
wow, wow.
desert. No, but
Okay.
it's not so rare. Okay, so what Dubai government in does is they have mastered the use of cloud seeding. So they actually use
Yes, yes.
planes. Yeah, they use planes, and they use it as a way to manage temperatures and make it a more appealing tourist destination. So they keep using cloud seeding very, very effectively. It's very expensive, but well, what's expense for, you know, they make a lot
Uh,
more money on the tourism. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Karthik, if I may add,
Hmm.
natural rain when it happens, and Baba has said that if it rains naturally, that is a definite proof of my existence. Means my presence,
Yes.
sorry, my existence is known, but that means if it rains at a particular place, it's treated as divine blessing.
So
And his
if it
Yeah.
rains in Dubai, first we need to know whether it's cloud seeding or Baba.
See, Ashok ji, this is, I think, in the context of if there is a Baba lover gathering and if it rains, then Baba's presence is even more so. Because even the wind blows, it's about because of Baba. So, or the sun shines is because of Baba. But the rain thing is said in context of any Baba program when that is happening. And if there is a diesel, then it should be seen as Baba is definitely present there.
so,
He's loving it.
so, so what I'm trying to point out, Sanjay ji, that
Yeah.
uh, at the moment we are having a Baba program, though virtual.
Good one. Good one, Ashok.
No, why not? Why
Yeah,
not? I mean,
you're
so
damn smart.
I remembered about that, so I just shared.
Correct. You are very smart. Love you.
Nahi, nahi. I learned it from all of you.
Okay, so let's get to the second part. So I keep looking at the window to see the time, right? When I start, it's almost pitch dark. So that's what I walked up to the window to see what happened after I looked at 6:50 in my laptop. Anyway, so let's read the subtitles and then we can get to reading about the second part. People are constantly interacting on inner spheres. What is the value of darshan and sahvas, feet of the master, mental contact, special precautionary instructions, helpful contacts and associations, disciple used as an instrument, master as a relay station, internal eye, Om point, reversing process of perception, siddhis, and furtherance of the divine plan. All this is what is covered in this chapter. So let's start with it. Anybody wants to read?
I'm fine. I'll read.
Please go ahead. Let's go to 186. Jai Baba Mahu.
Jay Baba. Sorry to miss the meeting last night. We went to the memorial of one of our relatives. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so it was evening here, which is morning there. Yeah.
Did you attend the Southern California meeting that was there for Amartiti? I was listening to the
No,
video.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was listening
No,
to the video and I was thinking maybe
yeah.
you did.
No, I didn't go. It's a little bit far. Plus,
I know it's far, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
actually associating, or I'm always home with Baba, so I don't go to places anymore.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So
But he's very good. Did you listen to him? He's on roll right now, and I think Baba is behind it. He's been giving a lot of talk, Erwin Locke.
yes, all over, yes.
All over.
So
that's
he flew coast to coast to make this meeting, and then he's been speaking in Ahmednagar, where there was a big, Mehrabad, where he recorded a long talk, and it's fascinating. He's done so much in his life for recording and spreading Baba's word, and he's so full of love. Sanjay, we are talking about Erwin Luck, who had a 2-hour presentation at Southern California, the Southern California Center for Amartiti.
Yeah, I
know
had an
you
opportunity to listen to him.
That's why I brought your name up.
Yeah. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Such a lovely man.
Yes.
So lively. Yeah.
You know, his brother Edward is the one that told him about Baba, and they went to see him, and it so happened to be the Baba's interment. You know, when Baba dropped his body. Yeah.
No, they made one trip before that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They made one trip. They made one
trip before that, and it was one hell of a ride. I mean, they didn't have the money to start with. They got the money, then they made the trip, and Baba said, "I'll meet you only for one. I'll meet you for just a few minutes, or maybe it was something like that." But he said, "I'll still do it," and made the entire trip. And obviously, Baba gave a lot more time than that. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it was with his brother, even the first one, I think.
Did he also talk about his father and his role in all this and how he was objecting Baba in the beginning?
Yes, yes, he did. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't listen
Yeah,
to the
that's
whole
very
Southern.
interesting, actually. That's
Yes,
very
yes,
Yeah,
interesting
very,
it
part.
is interesting.
very
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting.
Baba pulled him too, the father somehow.
Finally,
Yeah,
finally, yeah.
finally gave in. Yeah. It's very interesting story. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Please share the link. Anyone?
Sure, I'll drop it maybe on the Telegram. Yeah, sure.
Avatar
Okay,
Ki Jai.
please.
I begin with reading The Place of Occultism in Spiritual Life, Part 2, The Relationship with the Master in Spiritual Life. The subtopic is people constantly interacting on inner spheres. Those who have even a preliminary acquaintance with the structure and laws of the inner spheres of existence know that complete isolation of human beings is a figment of imagination. Whether they desire it or not, all persons are constantly acting and interacting upon each other by their very existence, even when they do not establish any contact on the physical plane. There are no limits to the spreading of the influence of the individual. The magnetic influence of the subtle spheres knows no barriers of national frontiers or any other conventional limitations. Good thoughts as well as evil thoughts, cheerful moods as well as gloomy moods, noble and expansive. Can somebody please mute the mic? There is some background noise. Thank you. I'll just read again. Good thoughts as well as evil thoughts, cheerful moods as well as gloomy moods, noble and expansive feelings as well as petty and narrow emotions, unselfish aspirations as well as selfish ambitions, all these have a tendency to spread out and influence others even when they are not expressed in words or deeds. The world of mental life is as much a unified system as the world of gross matter. The gross world, as a vehicle of spiritual life, has its own indubitable importance, but the links and connections existing between different persons can by no means be fully estimated if one merely considers the tangible. Can you raise it up, Karthik? Transactions that take place in the gross world. Value of darshan and sevas, the subtopic. For an aspirant to see a perfect master does not yield its full significance except in the context of all the corresponding happenings of the inner planes of consciousness. The rishis or sages will attach great importance to having the darshan, contact through sight, of perfect masters, for they are the source of constant flow of love and light which emanates from them and makes an irresistible appeal to the inner feelings of the aspirant, even when he receives no verbal instructions from them. The effect of darshan is dependent upon the receptivity and response of the aspirant, whose reaction is determined by his own sanskaras and past connections. Often, the aspirant is completely satisfied with the darshan of a master, and he desires nothing further from him. To derive bliss and contentment from the mere darshan of the master is a great thing because it indicates that the aspirant has desirelessness and love, which are two essentials of spiritual life. Having had the darshan of the beloved master, the aspirant naturally desires nothing except to have more of his darshan and is thus impelled by his inner spiritual urge to seek the sevas, company of the master, as often as possible. Further, sevas of the master implements and strengthens the purifying effect of darshan and also results in drawing the aspirant closer and closer to the master of on the inner planes.
Can you
If we
read?
pause
Can
here,
you read the last part? Yeah, I think there was a break in. I got lost. Having had the darshan, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely, it is quite you know significant, and I'll read again. Having had the darshan of the beloved master, the aspirant naturally desires nothing except to have more of his darshan and is thus impelled by his inner spiritual urge to seek the sevas, company of the master, as often as possible. Further, sevas of the master implements and strengthens the purifying effect of darshan and also results in drawing the aspirant closer and closer to the master on the inner planes. Anybody wants to
if we,
say something?
yeah, if you pause here, I think a lot was covered, but basically, lot is happening in the planes that we don't realize all the time. And then the topic changed to darshan, and the role of the sight and presence with the master, darshan, and subsequently sahvas. So, any thoughts, any reactions before we go to the next part?
Karthik, if I may add, the first paragraph said that there can be connections beyond, even in beyond the gross world, right? That means even our thoughts. And can you come to the first paragraph, please? I think it was
Yeah,
quite.
yeah, sure, sure. It's very, very beautifully put out where there's always contact between the souls. That's what he's saying.
If you don't mind, I wanted to read this paragraph again.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, because it's not just us. Of course, we have human connections, and I was just wondering whether this also how intensely we are connected with Meher Baba. So it's got two. According to me, there can be two ways in which we can interpret this. I mean, of course, the two people connect, and individual person to Baba connect. So I would like to read this paragraph again.
Please.
People constantly interacting on inner spheres. Those who have even
Ashok, before you read this, I have a thought.
yes, yes,
Say,
definitely.
we all will reflect these two paragraphs or the first paragraph as a prelude to our group working together towards moving towards Baba. So keep this in
Interesting.
mind and then read this once again. Okay.
A very innovative and a new thought and paradigm. Thank you, Mamaji. People constantly interacting on inner spheres. Those who have even a preliminary acquaintance with the structure and laws of the inner spheres of existence know that complete isolation of human beings is a figment of imagination. Whether they desire it or not, all persons are constantly acting and interacting upon each other by their very existence, even when they do not establish any contact on the physical plane. There are no limits to the spreading of the influence of the individual. The magnetic influence of the subtle spheres knows no barriers of national frontiers or any other conventional limitations.
Correct. Actually, so the Baba's message, I am the only one, we are all one. me and you are not two, we but one. These messages also corroborate to what is being said here. And yesterday, in fact, I'm currently reading a book which also tries to connect these things to the scientific means. Like I am born of my mother and father. They're unsure their part. The sperm and the ovary from there where I get born, and then my father must have had the same thing before, and his father before, and his father before. So ultimately, if you try to draw it on a chart, ultimately it joins down to there is somebody who from where everything has evolved, that way. He just tries to connect. So every so there is no difference between the people. They were all because of our sanskaras and whatever we learn out of based on our birth. We try to segregate ourselves from others. Jai Baba.
Absolutely, Sanjay. And if I may add, when the soul is trying to search for a body, or it wants to enter a physical body during the 3-4 days after it has left an earlier body, so then it searches for a body or a family which is comfortable or which is similar to its past sanskaras. It is there in Listen Humanity.
Yes.
Yeah,
Basically, the
which basically
choice
helps
is
you to experience the sanskaras of the current gained sanskaras
correct.
or current accumulated sanskaras of this life, and a suitable family or parents are chosen so that those experience can sanskaras can be experienced. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Jai Baba. Good.
One thing I like to add, if you roll it up a little bit, Kartik, so I
Sure.
can refer to that the
Sure.
couple of sentences that was just said. Just okay. That's what I wanted to say. I read this and then I talk about it. Then Baba says the magnetic influence of the subtle spheres knows no barriers of national frontiers or any other conventional limitations. So basically, we're not just this body. We're three bodies all together. So in not a gross sphere, but in a subtle sphere, which is the world of energy, or energy are already interacting. Like now that I'm talking to you, for example, at inner level, at this inner subtle level, our energy are getting exchanged, although it's on the Zoom, but doesn't matter. So that's why, and our gross and subtle body or spheres are very much tied in together. They're together. And that could also be with any energy, like sometimes when you are around people that are not, unfortunately, they're not very good people, or they carry a lot of ill feelings or things like that, negative, immediately you feel bad. Not immediately, but it's your, at the energy level, that negative energy already has impacted you. And then it's reflecting on it through your five senses or your gross body. So because of the energy, a world of energy, we're always connected. And Baba here says, and it doesn't have to be a physical interaction. It doesn't have to be. Even, we're sitting somewhere already at the inner level, our energy already interacting. Now, some people are aware of it and some not. Also about the thing that said, Baba said, I was trying to look for a code that I couldn't find it. Baba says, whenever there are 5 of you are gathered together in my name and in my cause, I am always there. And Baba says the Prameshwar are always there. Of course, Prameshwar is a unconscious God, but that's what Baba said. So of course, if there are 5 of us are here,
Correct.
Baba is always with us.
I'm not sure if
Correct,
it was
correct.
5 or
And
lesser.
this
Maybe it was 3 or 4 also. But yeah,
five, five, five,
5. Okay.
five is
5,
generally
yeah.
I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I mean, Karthik, because he has just 1 or 2, so you must gather at least 5. I know you are kind of alone. So
You
this
gotta
is
do
this
more
is also
recruiting.
scientifically. So this is also scientifically proven what Mahu was saying. These experiments have been held, there was a room where everybody was talking negative and bad and this and, calling names and everything. And those people, when they were taken out of the room and their body scans were taken, vis-a-vis the people who were very positive and they appreciated each other, loved each other, hugged each other, and when they were taken out, the body scans showed. I mean, there is a vast difference between the two. So all these vibes do affect our physical, our physical and mental things. So the company, as they say, the company of the saints. That's what helps the spiritual growth. Yeah.
Definitely.
Sah-
No doubt on
Sahwas.
that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sahavas.
And
When you are
Sahbaz,
unmindfully or people who are close to
Yeah. Yeah.
Baba, yeah.
Kabir has written so much on this subject actually. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
So
Jai
it
Baba.
is
No,
basically the positive impressions and positive thoughts, and definitely there are interconnections with everyone. We all are one.
Yes.
yes, agree with all that's being said, and also I see the parallel of the bigger analogy that Mamaji pointed out. So the very fact, Zoom or not, or virtual call or not, we are all working together, and we have sustained and maintained relationships in a fascinating way, even over this group, right? So interesting. We are always
And
working.
so I hope that Baba is also blessing us, or his presence is there when we are 5 in the virtual group, because technology has changed and we are meeting for Baba's cause, and of course dedicating everything we do to Baba. Jai Baba,
Yeah.
feet of
Ashokji, you just correct one word. You said, I hope. You must say, I am 100% sure.
I'm 100%.
Yes,
I stand
yes,
corrected.
yes.
I stand, thanks Sanjay ji for the editing. I stand corrected. I trust that Baba is there. And on my desk I have Baba and Mehra Mai. So I believe they both are, giving us our blessings for this. And continuing, shall I continue? Anybody
Yes,
else?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Uh,
You're good till 9, right? I know you
yes,
said the
I'm
hard
good.
stop at 9. Yeah, right.
I have a hard
Please,
stop.
you have 10 minutes. Yeah, please speak.
Okay. So feet of the master, like darshan, falling at the feet of a master also has special value on its own. The feet, which are physically the lowest part of the body, are the highest from the spiritual point of view. Physically, the feet go through everything, good and bad, beautiful and ugly, clean and dirty, yet they remain above everything. Spiritually, the feet of the masters are above everything in the universe, which is like dust to them. When people come to a perfect master and touch his feet with their hands, they lay the burden of their sanskaras on him. He collects the sanskaras from all over the universe, just as an ordinary person in walking collects dust on his feet. There is an ancient tradition that after the aspirant has the darshan of a master and falls at his feet, He washes the master's feet with milk and honey and places a coconut near them as his offering. Honey represents red, bad sanskaras, while milk represents white, good sanskaras, and the coconut represents the mind. Thus, this convention, which has become established in some areas in connection with greeting the masters, really symbolizes throwing the burden.
We lose you, Ashok.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my bad. Throwing the burden of all sanskaras on the master and surrendering the mind to him. Adoption of this inner attitude constitutes the most critical and important step that the aspirant must take in order to get initiated on the spiritual path.
Yeah.
If I may add, I am just remembered of Baba also, washing the feet of the musts. It must be related or might have some significance on what we have read.
Not in the way it's described here, but probably a different significance. And I think it was not just the musts, right? He did for the poor, for the lepers at different times.
Yes.
And obviously, there were different aspects of the universal work that were achieved by each of those acts that he did. But here he's talking about you and me. Here he's talking about what happens when we go and fall at the feet of the perfect master and how he takes all the sanskaras. And again, that's why Baba says that one should not fall at another's feet, like is the tradition largely in India of falling at elders' feet, because you're actually doing a submission of sanskaras to the other person, which is not advisable in general.
Thanks for bringing it up. I had the same thought. And reading the next subtopic, mental contact. Once the aspirant experiences the bliss of the darshan of a master, that sight gets carved on his mind. And even when he is unable to establish frequent personal contact, his mind turns to the master again and again in an effort to understand his significance. The process of establishing mental contact with the master is essentially different from merely imaginative revival of past incidents. In the ordinary play of imagination, the recall of past incidents is not necessarily animated by a definite purpose, whereas in establishing mental contact, there is definite purpose. Owing to the directive power of purpose, imagination ceases to be mere revolving of ideas and reaches out to the master and establishes contact with him. Such mental contact with the master is often as fruitful and effective as his physical darshan. The inward repetition of such mental contacts is like constructing a channel between master and aspirant, who becomes thereby the recipient of the grace, love, and light that are constantly flowing from the master, in spite of the apparent distance between them. Thus, the help of the master goes out not only to those who are in physical presence, but also to others who establish mental contact with him. I just want to add that, during the Amartiti, many people were coming to the cabin and touching the feet of the master physically. So, I'm just reminded of that. Special precautionary instructions. The master devotes careful attention to the individual needs of the disciple. And the first thing he does is to protect the disciple from influences that will divert his attention from the path or interfere with his progress. Often the master requires the disciple to accept some kind of temporary isolation so that his mind is guarded against impacts that might impede his spiritual progress. Thus, some yogis, under instructions from their masters, prepare their own food and do not allow anyone to remain present at the time of eating it. The reason is to avoid impressions of evil from the glance of bad persons. A disciple is also likely to catch the impressions of another's lust, just as a clean cloth may be readily soiled by dirt.
Yeah, so if you can recall, Baba allowed people to touch their seats, his feet, many times, but many times he also stopped them. If you see Pune Center inauguration video, Baba was sitting on the platform, and everybody and his feet was right at the edge, and everybody was allowed to or asked to touch his feet and bow down his head on his feet. But there have been occasions where Baba did not allow people to touch his feet, and only embrace was given. So yes, it seems there must be a reason why Baba did not allow, because he must be doing some special work during those days. Jai Baba.
Wow, I have not noticed that in any of the videos, so I must look that up. And that's the
If you see
Pune video you said, right?
Pune Center 1965
Inauguration.
Yeah, inauguration
Okay.
video. If you see, it's only his feet you could touch, nothing else,
Hmm.
because he was sitting at a higher platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he stopped some people from doing that.
No. In this inauguration video, everybody was allowed, but there have been
Okay.
occasions where there have been circulars that nobody was allowed to touch his feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. The last para before we close.
I think, if I am not mistaken, even in the Lord Meher initial pages as we are reading, even Mandli people were not allowed to touch his feet on certain occasions, and it was allowed only in certain occasions, something like that. So Baba had his own reasons for those things.
Sure.
What Baba was doing is beyond our human minds. Okay, I'll just continue and finish the last paragraph.
Yes. And then you can stop, Ashok. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. In the earlier stages, the aspirant must guard against any complications that might arise through association with others who are not on the path. But the master gives special instructions for the severance or avoidance of certain connections and contacts only when they are specifically indicated for a special case. In most cases, however, all that is necessary is secured merely by the constant company of the master, and no need arises to submit the disciple to actual isolation. Although the disciple may be outwardly in touch with the world, he remains mentally detached from it because of his inner connection with the master. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashok. So the true disciple is detached from the rest of the world and connected deeply with the master, right? So that's what we should aim to be, and that's what will get us progress.
One thing I like to add, Kartik,
Mm-hmm.
See, Baba always says, do your best. Do your best. Then don't worry, be happy. I will help you, right? So there are some efforts that must be done by the aspirant or us in order to have the company of the master and be more, in close touch with him. And I think one should be completely aware of the places, people, um, episodes, that really are impacting him or her, and stay away from it, right? We should not fall into all this preset conditions. Oh, I gotta go here. Oh, this is my family. I have to visit. How can I avoid it? How did you? None of that. Now, if we're really serious about loving God and being closer to Him, as this is our opportunity while He is manifesting for 100 years after dropping His body, and He's very available, then we really must make an effort. I know that I have made that change in my life, and I am living a much better and peaceful life compared to the past. And I'm so grateful that Baba has given me a break on some of those must or must not interactions. Yeah, we could really choose not to isolate ourselves, but I think COVID helped us too. COVID really happened for the reason, and people began to feel their solitude, being by themselves and so forth. And Baba gave this realization to us that it is possible. It is possible that we don't necessarily have to see this and that and that, all this. We don't have to if we don't want to. Now, some people may want to, that's different. But if we don't want to, we should not really push ourselves into any situation whatsoever. Because our life is our life. Nobody is dictating it to us. So I thought I shared this, that it's important that we orchestrate our own life with the master and don't let anybody impact you on that. Jai Baba.
Beautiful thought. I think I totally agree with you. And yes, I agree with your other comment on COVID as well. COVID is, I would say, one of the reasons for a lot of people uh, being more comfortable just with their own company to start with. And then slowly also for many also a way of looking inward, a way of looking at spirituality and so on and so forth, and becoming better people, right? So I totally agree with what you said. Well summarized. Well, yeah. Any other thoughts and comments before we wrap up?
Yeah, we had a good session today. Good thought to ponder upon. Yeah, Jai Baba.
Great.
Yes, our souls are connected, and we experience that connection today by reading this chapter.
Our
Thank
hearts
you,
are
Baba.
connected.
Yes. Thank you, Baba.
Jai Baba, Mamaji.
Jai Baba, that's a wonderful
Jai
opportunity
Baba,
to be
everybody.
together. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Baba. Jai Baba Neha ji, Jai Baba Ashish. How are you all?
Jai Baba.